Hello, it's Chords and Coffee, and today we're going to talk about chords hidden inside the pentatonic scale. A while back, I did a lesson called Pentatonics Hidden Inside Chords, and the thumbnail looks like this if you want to go find that. It'd be a great companion episode for this episode. This episode comes directly from here recently. I did a Chords and Coffee, and there was some questions in the live chat. You know, every Saturday morning when these come out at 9 a.m. Central Time, there's a live chat going on, and a lot of times somebody, will bring up, hey, you ought to do an episode on this, that, or the other. Well, this is the this, that, or the other kind of lesson. It came up, man, there's these different ways to play the pentatonic scale. We all know that the box pattern that we learn, most people, is A minor pentatonic's the one you learn right out of the chute, and just the regular old pentatonic scale, right? Well, there's actually 5 ways to play that up and down the neck. Now, it's the same notes over and over again for each scale system, if we'll call it that, right? So C sharp minor pentatonic has 5 different ways to play it, right? Okay, so as they all do. So to that end, what's really neat about this collection of 5 notes is that there's some chords hidden in there that are useful to you for improvisational ideas, but also you kind of need some sort of visual cue to remember each form of this pentatonic scale, and for me, I kind of sort of reference, very quickly in my mind, a chord shape that reminds me, oh yeah, this is the one that goes like this. And so I thought I'd give that to you. And so without further ado, we'll just jump right into it.
Every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time, we bring you a free guitar lesson with Chords and Coffee. These videos take time and money to create, and it's our free gift to you. All that we ask in return is that you leave comments on the videos and that you subscribe to this channel. When you do that, you make a massive difference in our ability to help to continue to have Chords and Coffee online for free. Thanks for being a part of this community, and thanks for watching.
So what we're going to do is we're going to be in the key of E major. Why E major? I got a low E, why not? It's a great guitar key, and so that's what we're going to do. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the scale, and then I'm going to give you a couple chords adjacent to it to help you remember it. So let's just start off. We're going to do C sharp minor pentatonic. Hey, C sharp minor pentatonic is the same as E major pentatonic, okay? So if in this episode I kind of keep bouncing back and forth, it's the same deal, it's the same collection of notes, just 2 different ways to look at it, and ain't that great? So, all right, so E major pentatonic or C sharp minor pentatonic, we're gonna start, and maybe you don't know the pentatonic scale, this is the perfect episode to jump right in. We're gonna start on the 12th fret of the high E, and we're gonna go down to the 9th fret, okay? Then on the B, the same thing, 12 and 9. And then on the G, we're going to go 11 and 9, and then on the D, 11 and 9, and then on the A, 11 and 9, and then on the low E, 12 and 9. And so that is that's the C sharp minor pentatonic scale. And as you can see, it's one of those things, it's early, I hadn't had my coffee yet. It's one of those things that it is a fantastic thing to practice. You ever see Joe Bonamassa just rip through the pentatonic scale? He practices that thing a lot, right? It's a great thing to practice for down, up, down, up, down, up kind of picking. Right there, when you play this scale, as you're coming down here, you probably notice, hey, just looking at that, there's a C sharp minor chord right there. So that's the first thing, is that on this particular scale, now this one's a little easy to remember because it's the first one to learn, probably the same for most of you, right? But in case it's not, this one, you can just see this C sharp minor. What do I mean? Well, index finger on the 9th fret of the G, the B, and the high E, and then ring finger on the 12th fret of the D. There's that little C sharp minor hiding right there. Now maybe not as obvious, but also equally as important. If I come down here to this, and I land right here, and I kind of look at how this scale lays out, there's this little B sus2 or add 9. I like to think of it as a sus2. This little chord hiding right here, and this is going to be index finger on the 9th fret of the D. I'm going to lay it flat across from the 9 to the high E. I'm going to put my ring finger on the G string of the 11th fret and my pinky on the 12th fret of the B. Now what you're going to find is all of these chords, I'm just giving you we're kind of warming up to this concept here. You're going to find that there is all of these chords that I give you are hidden somewhere inside the scale. But again, the whole point of this episode is I want to give you a visual reference. Nate, why is that handy? Well, if there's something that I can do, this B shape here is very similar to a D shape, and if there's something that I can do over that D shape, then I can do that up here in this key, right? So if I'm playing, and I can play like a little B lick over there, right? Or a C sharp minor lick. It's all the same stuff. It all works together. It's all neighboring together in the same vicinity. Let's get to one that may be just a little bit more foreign to us. This next shape right here, this is going to be starting on the 9th fret of the high E down to the 7th fret. And then the same thing on the B, right? And then now 9 and 6. And then this on the G string. So 9, 7, 9, 7 on the E and the B, and then G, 9, 6. And then on the D, 9, 6. I'm using my pinky for this stretch. And then on the A, you're going to go back to 9, 7, and on the E, 9, 7. So, and that one, as these connect together, you'll see that the bottom of that one is the top of the one that we just did, and so on and so forth. But on this one, what are some chord shapes that I can help myself remember the way this lays out? The one that just jumps out to me as I play down here, these notes here, is this E6-9 shape. And if ever there was a jazzy chord, it's these 6-9 chords. 6/9 means it's got a 9th and it's got a 6 in it. And if we make the full chord voicing, it looks like this. It's going to be middle finger on the 7th fret of the A. I'm going to use my index finger to lay on the D and the G of the 6th fret. And then my ring is going to be on the 7th fret of the B. Pinky's going to be on the 7th fret of the high E. You always want to do that whenever that chord comes up. It's lovely, is what it is. Now, how about just a regular 6 chord? Why is that? Well, if you look at this again, we've kind of got all the tops of, or the bottom of this scale is the top of the other one, right? And so you've got this, everything is on the 9th fret here. And so I could play this guy, and if you don't know this shape, we also did a whole lesson on 6 chords, and that thumbnail looks like this. Okay, this is going to be index finger. Let's start with middle finger. Middle finger on the 7th fret of the A. Index finger is going to be on the 6th fret of the D and the G, pretty much like what we just did. But in this time, instead of being on the 7th fret, we're going to put our pinky on the 9th fret of the high E and the B. So there's that 6th chord. You can also do it like this, where you have this kind of little cheater 6 here. Maybe not cheater, just the top 3 strings. And that's just going to be 9, 9, 9 on the G, the B, and the high E. Throw that open E string down there for a sonic reference. E6, pretty cool, right? Okay, so let's move on to this next shape. This next shape, I don't use that chord a lot, that E6-9, but I guarantee you use a C sharp minor 7 or a C sharp minor chord, right? In this next pentatonic shape, you'll be able to equate this chord with this shape, and you'll see what I mean as soon as I give this to you. So this is going to start, again, we're going to go from the top down. We're going to go on the 7th fret of the high E, right where we left off on the other scale, and then to the 4th fret of the E. So 7, 4, and then what's interesting here is we're going to go 7, 5, right? And then on this next string, we're going to go 6, 4. So right there, you can start to see this little C sharp minor showing up here. So 7, 4 on the high E, 7, 5 on the B, and then 6, 4, and then again 6, 4 on the D. So 6, 4 on the G, 6, 4 on the D, and then 7, 4 on the A, and then 7, 4 on the low E. Now, right when you do that, you can totally see that C sharp minor hiding there, or C sharp minor 7 if you want to do that. In case you don't know that chord, here it comes. It's going to be 4th fret of the index finger, lay my index finger human capo style on the A string all the way to high E. I'm going to put my middle finger on the 5th fret of the B. I'm putting my ring finger on the 6th fret of the D. There's your C sharp minor 7. Also, this shape keeps coming up again and again, which is great, because that means as soon as I get something that's a lick or a phrase or some sort of musical vocabulary in my hands that is based off this shape, I can do it all over the neck where this shape applies. In this case, it's this E, index finger on the 4th fret of the G, middle finger is going to be on the 5th fret of the B, and then your pinky is going to be on the 7th fret of the high E. And that shape there, just the same as that B we did a second ago, right? And that's a cool thing to work off, but let me give you one that maybe not as obvious, but if you look at this scale, you'll see these notes in there. This is a really cool shape. I use this all the time. So this is going to be a ring finger on the 7th fret of the A, middle finger on the 6th fret of the D, index finger on the G string of the 4th fret. I want to circle back to that in just a second. And then your pinky is going to be on the 7th fret of the B. And you can have both high E's open and play everything. Now, if that feels a little awkward and painful, you can also, on that G, you can just lay your index finger down and you can cover up you can actually play that G sharp that's on the 4th fret. Sometimes that major third, especially if you got some overdrive and grit, can be a little precarious. So usually when I'm playing that, if I'm laying my finger down, I just don't play the high E at all. And that's like an E add 9, because you got that F sharp in there, right? But what's nice about that shape that I really love is the whole point of this is that you'll start to develop vocabulary native to the chord shape that's unique to you. And as you develop that vocabulary native to the chord shape that you like, that your hands like, that makes sense to your ear, that you just like the phrasing of it, as you start to develop that vocabulary, then the trick or the mandate becomes, I got to find as much return on investment for that as I possibly can. And the way that you do that is that you link that to other ideas, because it's all related, it's all connected, right? It's just language, right? It's cooking, right? Just tasting is listening, right? How many metaphors can I give to you? I hadn't even drank my coffee yet. Let me give you one more shape and I'll take a sip of coffee here. Now I'm going to take a sip of coffee now. Just realize, sometimes your body just tells you need to drink that coffee. It's like when your buddy shows up for work and you're like, what happened to you? I ain't had no coffee. You can tell. It's that fresh zombie look, I don't measure my coffee. I just kind of pour it in there like this. And when you do that, it is literally like Russian roulette with caffeine. You know what I mean? Some days it's easy, you're fine. Other days you get hit. But it makes the lesson go by quicker and more entertaining. That's for free. Okay, so the next scale group. This is the kind of the weird one, but also simultaneously kind of the neat one. So we were here, now we're down here, and this is going to be 4th fret of the high E to the 2nd fret of the high E, and then we're going to go to the 5th fret of the B to the 2nd fret of the B, and then we're going to go to the 4th fret, it's all over the place, right, of the G to the 1st fret of the G. I looked at the wrong camera just then. 1st fret of G. And then the last 3 strings are all 4-2, 4-2, 4-2. For me, the way that I remember it, this is kind of the country version. You know what I mean? It just lends itself to that because you got this that 2-4-2, 4-2-4. It feels good. Right? So, what shapes are native to this? What shapes are hidden in this? Well, there's one that, obviously there's this E major shape. We won't spend any time on that because you see that pretty obvious. But there's also this great way to play a C sharp minor. I use this all the time. I love it. It kind of reminds me of like the Western, cowboy Western sort of C sharp minor, right? And what this is going to be pinky on the 4th fret of the A. This is going to be middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D, and then index finger on the 1st fret of the G. And if you want to add the C sharp that's on the 2nd fret of the B, you can, but I think more about a single note activity when I'm adding that. like that kind of thing. But I love that grip, and again, that's utilitarian, that you can use that all up and down the neck as you like. Also, hey, one more time, here comes this D chord shape. You know, cage system prevails, right? Well, this D shape, move it up to E. You've got your 4th fret on the G string. You've got your, let's do ring finger here on the 5th fret of the B, and then let's just do simple middle finger on the 4th fret of the high E. And then, this is kind of an interesting thing too, because when you look at this scale, it may not be as obvious as you go through there. Whoops. As you go through here and you look, okay, wait a second. Oh, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second. There's a B sus2 right there. It's just kind of hidden in there, right? You've got your index finger here going across human capo style from the A string, 2nd fret, all the way to the high E. Your ring finger is going to be on the 4th fret of the D, and the pinky is going to be on the 4th fret of the G. Now, here's what's interesting, is that all of those shapes are, you can find all of those different shapes in every single, well, I shouldn't say that. All those chords you can find in every single pentatonic version as you go up and down the neck. You should be able to find an E chord. You should be able to find a C sharp minor chord, right? Now, when you get to the G sharp, the F sharp, and the B, those are a little more colorful chords because of the note collection that's there. But here's what's really interesting. And this is maybe a little more advanced, but this is also a really good companion moment for the episode that's all about 11 chords. And that ended up being kind of a popular episode, and 11 chords are really useful once you get those in your hands. And here's what's even cooler, is that now, as you start to look at the pentatonic scale and just the chords that are in the scale that are native to the different points of the scale on the fingerboard, there's some cool grips here. So I'm going to go back to this shape here. So here's the original C sharp minor pentatonic we did, and the shape right behind it. This guy right here, there's a F sharp 11 hiding right in there. And when I started looking at that, I'll be honest with you, a lot of times when I'm preparing these lessons, there's little revelations that I get as I'm trying to give something to you that I go, I never thought about that before. This is one of them. So F sharp 11, let's put our middle finger on the 9th fret of the A. We're going to skip the D. We're going to put our ring finger on the 9th fret of the G, pinky on the 9th fret of the B, and then index on the 7th fret of the high E. This is a pretty hip thing if you're playing. Get that in your ear, and then if you hear, you can actually rip over that F sharp minor 11 with just your good old-fashioned C sharp minor scale. You know, I just realized I forgot one of these pentatonic forms. Should we keep going or make a clever at it? Jordan says keep going. Okay. So after you get down to this one here, there's one more, and we have to kind of go all the way back up here. And what's nice and what's fitting about forgetting this pentatonic is the one that has the BB box. And the BB box is going to be on this, you can see it here inside the pentatonic scale. I'll give you the whole thing here in a second. But the BB box is going to be the 13th fret of the G, the 12th fret of the B, 14th fret of the B, 12th fret of the high E, 14th fret of the high E. Right? And that's usually, here's like the regular pentatonic, and then the next thing you learn is to go up to this BB box. You know, that's where everybody does their BB King impression, which is not a great BB King impression, admittedly. However, that sort of caricature of that treatment and that phraseology is just readily accessible once you get that in your hands. That whole pentatonic scale goes like this: 14 on the high E, 12 on the high E, 14 on the B, 12 on the B, and then 13 on the G, down to 11 on the G, and then 14 on the D, down to 11 on the D, and then 14 on the A, down to 11 on the A, and then you can go 14, 12. And then that directly connects with this one. And it sounds awesome over over that 11 chord. Also, if I were going to make a little chord progression here, F sharp minor or F sharp 11 to this B, sus2, to maybe if you take all the notes of the pentatonic and use it in a G sharp minor chord, you end up getting a G sharp minor with a raised fifth, which is that E. And then you end up getting a C sharp minor 11 type chord. So I gave you that F sharp 11 just a second ago. Here's that B sus2 again, where you have your index finger laid all the way across the 9th fret, so the A all the way to the high E, and you got your ring finger on the 11th fret of the G, pinky on the 12th fret of the B, and then this G sharp with it's like a minor with it's minor 11 raised. You raise 5, yeah. Complicated chords, even though there's only 5 notes in it, right? And this is going to be index finger across the 4th fret from the low E to the high E. The ring finger is going to be on the 6th fret of the A. Your middle finger is going to be on the 5th fret of the B. And then pinky, I'm going to go ahead and put this on the 7th fret of the high E. And then to this little 6-9 chord, remember we did that just a second ago. There's the chart for it. And then good old C sharp minor 11. That's going to be middle finger on the 9th fret of the low E, skipping the A. You're going to have ring finger on the 9th fret of the D, pinky on the 9th fret of the G, and then index is going to be on the 7th fret of the B. Those are cool shapes, right? And you can kind of mess around with that, and I hope you find a really cool, chord progression with that. But the thing I want you to have is that as you're connecting all these ideas, you need to learn the scale well enough to play it, but you, more importantly, need to learn the scale well enough to use it. Having spices in your cabinet is great, but if you never cook with them, they're just taking up space, right? So I hope this encourages, I hope this helps you. We do this every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time right here on the Palen Music YouTube channel, and we have a saying, we're living life the best we can with guitar in our hand. Friends, thank you for watching. Thank you for the privilege of your time. I'll see you next week for another Chords and Coffee.